Hey everyone, I'm Michael, and this is another episode in my series, A Plant a Week. In this series, I talk about various houseplants. I highlight one for the whole video, talking about how to properly care for it, how to water it, how to propagate it, everything that you need to know to keep your plant healthy and happy. On today's episode, we are talking about a plant that you've all been hoping for, the Peperomia Hope. Get it? Hoping for Peperomia Hope? Get it? Yeah, it was funnier in my head. This round-leafed boy here is Peperomia Rotundifolia, more commonly known as Peperomia Hope, which is a hybrid between Peperomia quadrifolia and Peperomia depiana. This plant is also an epiphyte. I can't say the word. Epiphyte. It's an epiphyte, which is really just a fancy word for a plant that, in the wild, tends to grow on other plants, like orchids, air plants, and a good number of indoor houseplants. Peperomia hopes are characterized by their round green leaves and trailing vines. Right now, mine doesn't have any crazy vines. I actually cut it up for a recent propagation video. I'll post the link to that video in the cards and in the description below. These plants thrive in medium to low light. I found that it's best to keep them out of direct sunlight, as the leaves can curl and burn if it gets too much light. Similarly, if it's in too dark of a spot, it won't see much growth at all, and the space between leaves on the plant's vines will be more spread out. As for watering, most Peperomia like to dry out between waterings, but in the growing season, Peperomia Hope like to be in a moist environment. While their leaves are pretty succulent, thick, and juicy, and apt at holding water, the plant itself likes a more humid and moist environment than a true succulent would. That being said, these plants don't like to sit in water and can actually die pretty easily from being overwatered. In the winter, make sure that you're watering your hope only after the soil is dried out. Because they don't like to sit in water, they prefer a well-draining soil that can nonetheless hold on to a bit of moisture. I use a mixture of potting soil, sphagnum moss, and orchid bark for mine. As for fertilizing, Peperomia Hope can definitely benefit from feedings during the growing season, and they aren't too fussy over the type of fertilizer they get. You can use controlled release pellets or a balanced liquid fertilizer, but I like to use organic fertilizer whenever I can. As I mentioned before, I recently filmed a video about propagating these guys, and you can find the link to that video in the description below. But they're pretty easy to propagate. The best way is by leaf cuttings. Simply cut off a vine and cut each leaf pretty close to the base of the vine, making sure that the leaf has some of the petiole attached. Then plunk that petiole into dirt and wait for it to start to form roots. You might want to give it water from time to time as well. This plant may share a lot of features with a succulent, but they do like their water. Peperomias are actually great because they're one of the few non-toxic indoor houseplants, making them a great houseplant addition to homes with nosy cats and dogs. As far as pests, I've never had any trouble with pests on my Peperomia Hope, but they can be susceptible to common indoor house pests. If your hope gets infested with any pests, you can treat it with an insecticidal soap or numerous other more organic methods. I sometimes sprinkle cinnamon on top of the soil of my plants because most pests can't stand cinnamon. My Peperomia Hope is one of my favorite plants in my collection. I love the thick green leaves that look like round medallions. It's one of those unique looking plants that has the strangeness of a succulent without actually being a succulent, which is especially good for me because I kill succulents like it's my job. Thanks again for watching. Remember to like and subscribe for similar content. On Mondays, I post videos about houseplants, and on Fridays, I also post videos about houseplants, and reading, writing, photography, art, and any other generic interests of mine. As always, you can find my social media links in the description below. Also, you can find links to H&H Games, the board game company I've helped create, and our debut board game, Season of Heroes. You can also find the Amazon links to my fantasy series, A Chronicle of Crowns. Thanks for watching, bye!